Excellent. Okay, can you make sure everything's working? But hopefully we're all online. Apologies for the slightly delayed start. Hopefully we finally got the streaming working. Our streaming software was had a bit of a problem last week, so unfortunately we weren't able to broadcast, to record, but hopefully everything will be back to normal this week. So this is session 3 of Initial C++, as you all know. So who has been to either of the past 2 sessions? Almost everybody. Who's here for the very first time? 2 of you, welcome. Welcome to week 3. As I say, we had a bit of a problem last week. So usually we record all our sessions, they all go on our YouTube stream. So we had a bit of a problem last week. But the slides will be available. Someone actually reminded me yesterday that I'd completely forgotten to do it. But I'll put the slides up so that you can go back and you can have a look at the slides. So see what we've done for the past couple of weeks. And obviously the week 1 video is available, youtube.com/CPP London Uni. As is this, hopefully. Excellent. So for those who haven't seen it, this is the first slide that I use every week, almost every week. There is a service. It's called Slack. It's a chat application, and there's this CPP Lang group on Slack. It's not run by us, but it's got, I don't know, 10,000 users on there, people for discussing the C++ language. And we use this for communication between students, between us. So we encourage everybody to go and join the CPP Lang Slack. So this URL is a bit small on the screen, but it's slack.cpp.al. If you go to there, you pop your email address in, do one of those I'm not a robot things, and it will send you an email that will let you join the CPP Lang Slack. It's a very exclusive group. Anybody who's not a robot can join it. And then when you've done that, we have our own room in there that's #CPP London Uni. There's also a #learn channel that is very, very useful because it's full of people from around the world who are learning C++. Lots of experts hang around in there as well. And they're more than happy to answer questions. And this is an international thing, so it doesn't matter if it's 4 in the morning. There'll probably be someone around in America or Australia or whatever who can answer your questions as well. So it's a really great resource. Really do encourage everybody to get involved in that. Okay, last week, most of you are here. What did we cover? Well, we talked about functions in week 1, and then had a bit of a revision about functions because they're so important. Because there was so much new information in week 1 that I spent quite a bit of time last week talking again about functions and how they work and what they do and how we write them. Then I started talking about using variables. So these are the 2 most important elements in writing a program, right? We need to be able to write functions, and we need to be able to use variables. That is, we need data, and we need to be able to do things with that data. That's really the fundamentals of what a computer program is, right? So functions, variables, absolutely the 2 most important things. We covered those in week 1 and last week as well. So again, yes, apologies for lack of stream for last week, but I will make the slides available, and I'm happy to answer questions as well. We looked at how we pass variables into functions. So we have this data, and then we looked at how we can actually pass that data into our functions so that we can operate on that data. We can do something useful with it, which again, pretty important for a computer program. In fact, pretty much what a computer program is some instructions for operating on some data. And lastly, we looked at if statements. This is again one of the really key building blocks of how we write programs. No matter what programming language we're in, we need to be able to have some way of saying, okay, some way of making decisions essentially. Some way of saying, okay, if this is true, I want to do this. Otherwise, I want to do something else. So that was last week. What are we going to do this week? Well, this week is in some ways, in some respects, the most important session of all of these introductory ones, because this week we're going to get everyone set up with C++. We're running C++ on your own systems, being able to write your own programs, not just relying on these online services that we have been doing. So we're going to spend the first bit of this evening, for everybody who hasn't done it already, we're going to get you all set up with a compiler and an IDE. Once we've done that, we're going to have another very quick run through if statements. So for the couple of newcomers, this will be the things we covered last week. We're going to have a quick look back at it, just to make sure everyone's got that. A week's a long time. If you're not doing this stuff regularly, it's easy for it to sort of leak out. So we'll go over that very quickly again. And we'll look at some new stuff. We're going to have a brief introduction to something called standard vector. It's std vector. This is one of the types that comes built into your standard library, so it comes supplied with your compiler, and it's very, very, very useful, used in sort of almost every kind of non-trivial program, I suppose. So we're going to have a look at that, how we, an introduction to that anyway, how we use it, what we can use it for. And then finally, we'll see how we do time-wise, but we're going to look at loops. So along with these statements, these are really the core essentials for how to write programs. So really the goal for these first few weeks is to get you set up to be able to write sort of fairly useful programs as quickly as possible. Right? I could bore you to tears spending 6 weeks talking about the minutiae of C++, but really my goal is to try and get you to a stage where you can do something useful pretty quickly, and after that we can start going into the details, start polishing things, making things nicer, introducing new features that make things easier or quicker or whatever it may be. But we've got to get the essentials in place first. Functions, variables, if statements, that's decisions, and loops, that is doing things repeatedly. Right? So hopefully, once we've got all those out of the way, then we can start actually writing some fun programs. Fun and interesting programs. More interesting than just printing a few things out anyway. Okay, so that's what's on the menu for tonight. Again, a bit of a delayed start, so sorry about that, but we'll see. We'll try and get through as much of it as we can. So first things first, who's already set up and ready to go with C++? Who's got themselves all? Oh, that's about half of you. That's excellent. Okay, so hopefully this won't take too long then. So for the people who had their hands up, you can just sort of kick back and relax and do whatever you like for the next little while. For the rest of you, for the other half who didn't have their hands up, so far, the last couple of weeks we've been using this service, OneBox. It's an online compiler. You paste some text into the box, you click a button, and some computer somewhere on the internet does all the processing, turns it into a program, runs that program, and gives you the answer. Which is fine for tiny little examples that we've been doing, just little demonstrations, little exercises. But if we want to do anything useful, we want to be able to run those programs on our own computer, on our own laptops. So we need to have a C++ compiler. That's a program that translates your source code into a program. We need one of those installed on our computers. So today we're going to get everyone set up with a free compiler. We're going to use either GCC or Clang. That's just names of the compilers that are available. And we'll also get everyone set up with an IDE. That's an editor for writing, special editor for writing your programs. The one we recommend is CLion, which Tom mentioned. So CLion is a commercial program. You usually have to pay for it. Can't remember, I think it's about £90 a year subscription. But the good news is, first of all, they give everyone a 30-day free trial, which is very nice. Secondly, if you are in full-time education or you are a faculty member of an academic institution, which I think probably covers a lot of the people in this room, the JetBrains, that is the company that makes CLion, they will give you a 12-month license, so renewable for as long as you're a student or staff member. To do that, you have to go to the website that I have forgotten off the top of my head, but if you go to jetbrains.com and look under their licensing, there's a simple little form you can fill out. I think basically you just need a .ac.uk email address, and give them your name and things, and they will send you. They will give you a license to use CLion. So that's 12 months. So that's awesome. So for the people in the room who are students or staff members, that's you sorted. For everyone else, once your 30-day trial is expired or is coming close to the end, we have a few 3-month licenses available. And again, those are renewable for as long as you keep coming to our course. So again, JetBrains, while it's a paid product, they have very good deals for people, for learners. So for students and for people who are attending programming courses like you guys. So sign up for the free trials to start with, and then we can get you sorted out with something a bit more longer term. And yes, I'm going to put the steps up on the board, but if you need any help, please ask. This is really important because after today, I'm going to assume everyone is set up. Right? I'm going to say, do this in CLion. Do this on your own systems. Most of the examples we use, well, today might be all right, but from next week onwards, they're not going to work if you use an online compiler. Right? So this is really important that everything is working today. So if you have any problems, please let us know. Okay, there are 3 steps to this. So I'm going to put up step 1, make sure everyone's done with step 1, and then I'm going to put up step 2, and then step 3. Make sense? Yes. Right. So let's go with step 1. If you're using Windows, there's this URL, nuwen.net, nuwen.net/mingw.html. So if you're running Windows on your laptop, go to that URL. You'll see there are 2 download links. Just download the one that says mingw 16.1.exe. Download that. Run the executable. It'll prompt you for somewhere to unpack it. I think the default is c/mingw, which is fine. So just unpack that. It'll take a few minutes and let that go. And once that's finished, then you'll have a compiler on your system. So that's great. If you're using a Mac, it's even easier. You need to open a terminal window. So you can find the terminal application, well, amongst your applications. It's built in on the Mac. And then you need to run this command. It's xcode-select and then -- install. Hasn't come out very clearly on the slides, but that's 2 separate dashes, -- install. If you do that, press enter, it'll pop up with a window. I think you have to agree to the end user licensing agreement. I know a lot of you are law students, so you can spend hours going over the 100 pages if you like, but it would save some time if you just clicked agree. It might ask you for your password as well, but once all that's done, then you'll have a compiler installed on your Mac. Okay. Off you go. Any questions, please raise your hand, and myself or Ollie or Tom will come around to give you some help.
Can you use Eclipse as well?
Can you use Eclipse? Yeah, if you're familiar with Eclipse and you're comfortable using it and doing everything in Eclipse, then by all means, we recommend CLion because I use CLion, Ollie uses CLion, and it's just helpful, if the same thing is on the screen as you see on your screen. So we recommend everyone's on the same, but if you already use Eclipse and you're happy using it, then go ahead. I'm standing right in the way of us. To be honest, well, let's go. To be honest, I like we'll need to get 30 days so we can try it out. Yep. What are you a student of staff member? Okay, so you can't get 12 months and like full-time students. But we can, once you get close to the end of your 30 days, we can give you a 3-month license. So that's renewable for next year.
One of the floors, you see it's just in front of your tables, that on the floor.
Once you've done this step, you can sit back and relax and look chilled out, and then I'll know everyone's done. Sorry?
Recently tried to compile the Windows setup
Windows with Edge.
but it doesn't just work like including, so you have to link into pages.
Yeah, probably.
Do you know how to do that in CMake?
No. Sorry. Ollie might do that.
What's the question?
About.
Comparing against the Windows setup in
Because you have to link against the Windows runtime, the appropriate.
Yeah, if you want to do that, use Clang CLion handlers. But GCC definitely not.
it would be on Windows, I just wanted to build it like with SVC and
Sorry?
together.
Yeah. So the only compiler
Just throwing the whole of
that
Xcode,
code
it'd be
is
like
CLion. However, why did you particularly want to combine Windows headers and MinGW? What are you trying to achieve?
I was trying.
You've done step one.
I already figured that my code was not robust. For example, I had a couple of issues where when I switched from 32 byte mode to 36 byte mode, 64 byte mode, that had some problems with narrowing. So I just wanted to make sure it's building.
I would suggest rather than using, because your issue really with maturity is the island, not so much the environment. Get the time to
Although actually the permissions, the Mac permissions were what we had.
integrate into Visual Studio. So you just go into the project settings and change it back. Get better lines, better necessarily. That would definitely give that.
I think it's already by default in CLion, isn't it?
On Windows, I don't actually know. I know it integrates nicely with Visual Studio. CLion, I don't know. I'm still waiting to try it. I'm sure get it working.
I'm working on CLion, and it gives me already like all the
The toolchain options.
the clang linting. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's external. That's not compiler. That's the reporting tools, basically.
But it doesn't show my. It doesn't show.
No, you have to add it yourself. So you can have to add the thing yourself. Let's see. What is Visual Studio? Show me a VS one. Show me Visual Studio. So I would copy this replace the scenes in this plus compile with Cloud plus from LLVM. First one, try.
Well, once you've set up a project, so if you go to
Yeah, so
File,
change the scene. Reinstall Clang. Okay, so just
so for this course, just select
it's
40.
very hard. It's usually CLVM.
I think it's probably
Yeah, I think.
just haven't updated it anymore.
Okay.
So much LVM aspect for code generation.
Yeah.
Because of
Today.
MSVC doesn't share stuff.
Today, yeah.
I thought it works like this.
I have these instructions on set.
That would be kind of use.
Yeah, and
they take information about the Microsoft API. They're getting this from
No, it's built in. That's built in. That is taking a read off. Just one thing.
Okay. Who's done with this one? All right. That's a better question. Who is not done with this step? Yeah. Okay. I will keep going. All right. So now everyone has a compiler. That's like the essential bits. So if we wanted to, we could like use the command line and do things manually, but that's really awkward. We want a nice editor that's going to do all these things for us. And as I say, the one we like that we recommend is CLion. There it is. So these are the steps for installing CLion. As I say, there's a 30-day free trial for everybody. It does have a box to put your email address in. You don't need to, as far as I know. But if you go to jetbrains.com/CLion, there'll be a box on there that says Start 30-day trial, and then you'll get a download that's for your system. Works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. You can run the installer. And then launch it, and then it'll come up with this like first run box. If you click next a couple of times, it should, if you followed step 1 correctly, it should detect your compiler and automatically set itself up. But again, if you have any problems, if things are unexpected, then just let us know.
Sorry, what was the step? I jumped ahead and did step 2 without step 1.
You did step 2 without step 1. Okay, are you running Windows or Mac?
Mac.
Mac. Okay, I'll come and help.
I just needed the rest of the commands
So you need to, it says Xcode select. It's all right.
Yeah, because first it will happen is you connect the system to my mobile, and the next step is you connect to that company will ask for the username and password. Which means this is on the web page.
Yes, I did that. I'm just waiting for this now.
All right. Yeah, unfortunately the Wi-Fi here isn't the fastest. Well, not when 20 odd people are downloading things at the same time.